Welcome back. I'm prepared to be bedazzled because today I'm going to be shedding light on how working a real private sector employee job based on voluntary demand for an 8-hour employee shift that pays a gross wage of $15 per hour for 8 hours of employee shift can net you around $6 per hour during the employee work session. So how's this deemed to be possible, you may ask? Without further ado, without further delay, without further procrastination, allow me to demystify the answer to that inquiry right here, right now. Lamentably, much to my dismay, much to my consternation, much to my chagrin, much to my grief, much to my agony, much to my agitation, much to my irritation, an exorbitant amount of real private sector employers are keen on configuring their real private sector workers as independent contractors in lieu of employees, even though the independent contractors are performing jobs that are tantamount to the jobs that are performed by the employees of the real private sector employers. By configuring their real private sector workers as independent contractors in lieu of employees, real private sector employers are able to further minimize their labor costs. And most of the profits that companies generate are reserved for their shareholders, executives, and external directors. People work real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand, pay an exorbitant amount of evisceration fees, and receive absolutely nothing for paying the evisceration fees. Furthermore, when real private sector employers render it compulsory to commute to and from an employer's distant job site, it bears an enormous cost on the real private sector employee's end. A real private sector employee may have to undergo a 2 to 3 hour round-trip commute in order to travel to and from an employer's distant job site. The real private sector employer renders it compulsory for his real private sector employees to commute to and from his distant job site. There are sizable costs associated with commuting to and from the employer's distant job site. Commuting to and from the employer's distant job site not only depletes fuel, but also depletes oil, and it causes the cars of the employees to accrue car depreciation costs. It is expensive to rotate the tires on your vehicle. It is expensive to replace defective vehicle parts that your vehicle may have. It is expensive to replenish fuel for your vehicle. It is expensive to replenish oil for your vehicle. Furthermore, when you undergo an employee work session at the employer's distant job site that is not located within the vicinity of your domicile, you may also be mandated to take a half an hour to hour unpaid break at the employer's distant job site. And when you take this half an hour to hour unpaid break at the employer's distant job site, you do not have access to your desktop. If the employee shift were a remote shift in lieu of a location-bound employee shift, then an 8-hour employee shift would be commensurate to an 8-hour employee shift in lieu of being commensurate to an 11 to 12-hour employee work session. How long your employee work session is predicated upon whether or not the employer mandates you to take a half an hour to hour unpaid break and is also predicated upon how long your round trip commute is to and from the employer's distant job site. So when you take into account the evisceration fees that people work real price sector jobs based on voluntary demand pay and receive absolutely nothing for paying, and when you also take into account the fuel depreciation costs, I meant to say when you take into account the fuel depletion costs, the oil depletion costs, the vehicle depreciation costs, and the tire depreciation costs, you can easily ascertain that you may net around $6 per hour during the employee work session, which is a far cry from the gross wage of $15 per hour. An 8-hour employee shift can easily become a 11 to 12-hour employee work session, especially if you have a 2 to 3 hour round trip commute to and from the employer's distant job site, and especially if you are mandated to take a half an hour to hour unpaid lunch break at the employer's distant job site. If you were able to work that job remotely, and if you had a half an hour to hour unpaid lunch break, then you have access to your desktop, which would furnish you with opportunity to work in other capacities amid the unpaid break. So I hope that you deem this video to be riveting, captivating, mesmerizing, insightful, engrossing, intriguing, and amusing. I hope that you're entrenched in the unalloyed epicness. Thanks for watching. Have a blissful day. Goodbye.